better on the other end of it. But if you just slash in the truth, even the Word of God will say, the truth is a two-edged sword. And I think the problem is when someone's already hurting and you're trying to come at them with truth, you can say that's what they need to hear. But is your intent to get it out, or is your intent for them to hear and be better? And I think that's where our disconnect is. Because it's always been some sort of problem between black men and black women communicating.
Right.
And so instead of fostering
Stemming
further
from what,
division,
though? You don't think this is something that stemmed from way back when?
I do. And I think we're on the same page when we're looking how it stems from way back when.
And today...
But we're not on the same page with what it stems from now. When they say 8 out of 10 black children are born to a single mother, we just blame the mother. When we say she's got an attitude and all this attitude, and that's why I don't want to deal with her, that may be true, and we can talk about that, but do we get a chance to also say, why does she have an attitude? What happened?
All right, and Kevin did mention there were times that he said that when you create an environment where she can be in her feminine, that's a house of, of a healthy home. And you don't have a lot of brothers that are in position because of, their choices. No excuses made for him because he did hold them accountable too. But you gotta look at a lot of barriers that we had to go through as well to get away from that. And is there a lot of us that can step up and be that provider and all the things you're supposed to have, and how is she choosing a man? Because you are what you, whatever you energy you get, that's what you're putting out.
Right, but I think what happens is we don't. It's easy for us to together look how the nation systemically caused this. Right. We're on the same page.
Right.
We're not on the same page with, how did the black female end up like this?
Right.
And so if you go back to just Jim Crow laws, the brother was being beat down, society, financially. The only place where he kind of had some clout was in the church, right?
Right.
So where do people take out their sadness and their aggression when someone's coming at them? You take it out on the one you love. Now, can you fault a man who is being beat down and he comes home and he's stressed out and he's bringing his stressors there? So he's like, you know what? He needs to go find a place of solace. So he goes across town. He got a whole family over there. Right? And so what's happening with this family here? Now she all in her attitude. Well, that makes sense. Does it make sense why he went over there? Well, that makes sense. Well, does it make sense if his resources are over there, or if he walks away from her, that now she's got to find her own resources? Well, I'm going to go back to school. Well, I'm not going to have to rely on him if he ain't going to be here. So now you have all these independent women who became that way because they watched their mom get left and she had nothing. So it's a system that's perpetuated itself, and instead of stopping and saying, how did you get here? They're saying, well, you're putting out bad energy.
Right.
Well, it's just like white people saying, well, why don't you just comply with the cops? Why don't you comply? What happens when compliance happens? You still end up locked up.
Or dead.
So you see what I'm saying? It's like we don't seem to correlate that when we have experiences that don't include us, can we just step into that person's shoes? Because it's not okay for a female to give out bad energy, to say she don't need a man.
Right.
All of that ain't okay. When he says things like you're 35 with kids and single and leftovers, that's an opinion. And that's not true.
Right.
Because we don't crack unless we use crack.
Right.
And I've been a 34-year-old with 2 kids.
Right.
And guess who wasn't leftovers?
Right.
Guess who needed a bat?
Right.
To just, can I get some space to heal from my last marriage? Well, I just think ultimately we're all attracted to different things.
True.
I think Kelly Rowland was a 9 to him and Beyonce was an 8. For somebody else, Beyonce's a 15 and Kelly's a 6. It's an opinion. But how does it help a female who's already struggling to hear, oh, by the way, you're leftovers?
Okay, I'm going to give you this then. That's very transparent, but you can also be transparent and say, okay, he was saying, like, if she's 40 years old with these, children, she decides to say, well, I'm not having sex no more. I want a high value man to accept me and my kids. He can't have no kids. He got to be making all this money, and he's no sex, no time, no expectations from me as a woman. But I just want him to be there and basically be that puppet guy in that situation. Like, that's not unrealistic.
Well, I think that as a therapist, my thoughts are like, that sounds like brokenness. Where did that come from? Because women don't start out that way. Remember, we're the ones fighting over bouquets at weddings, hoping to have someone want to be with us, and y'all are watching a garter belt fall to the floor until someone gets forced to pick it up. So how do we go from wanting to give and to love to that?
Right.
It takes a series of being hurt and ignored and wounded and abandoned and left to the point now we're so scarred over that we're like, now I don't want that. Does that make sense? And so if we would take the time to say, well, why are you like that? And then maybe, just like you're on your healing journey physically, then we help folks get there mentally.
Right.
Because that's not what we're doing. We're looking at craziness, calling it truthfully craziness, and walking away saying, you getting the energy you got. We left a sister to do what? And is it our responsibility? I mean, each one teach one, we're a village. But at the end of the day, you can't really hate on the black woman when every last one of you came through one.
Right, of course not. Of course not.
Or,
so I don't think Kevin was hating.
No, well, Kevin was relying on reality because he would say, this is what you do to get this result. Now, I'm a little concerned about that because you can get the result, but I don't think all's well that ends well. There is a spiritual consequence to the way you got your result.
Right.
And so if all you want is the result, that's one thing. But I'm the type that feels like, you know, if the goal is to get to the top of the mountain, there's two ways to get there. You can climb and get up there bloodied and haggard and tired, or you can take an elevator.
Right.
Some people want the elevator. I don't want the elevator. I want to get up there tired and bloodied and haggard. Because you know what? On that process, I've gained strength, resilience, and all kinds of skills for what's next. And what's happening is people are looking for the result and not the journey.
Wow.
And that's where I think he and I had some differences. I also, as a direct speaking person, I get it. I like when people come at me correct.
Right.
But I also know a lot of people can't hear that because of their traumas. And if your goal is to really help someone, then part of the responsibility of a communicator is to communicate a message so the other person can really hear it.
Right. So his delivery was
a lot
definitely...
of broken women called for validation just to get beat down again. They were fine getting beat up in their own life. That was an opportunity to maybe say, hey.
I seen some that were appreciative of his delivery and they appreciate that tough love.
Save face, and then if you actually followed what happened after that. I don't know. Black women are tired of being the strong
I hope
women
so.
anymore. You know,
because brothers like myself, we love a woman in their femininity. You know what I'm saying? When I'm dating, I'm like, yo, calm down. Like all the yelling and screaming and angry. You know, so they don't know how to receive that love and support no more because the man was never there in the picture in the first place because it's been generational curses on our family.
Or they were only there short term to get what they could get.
Right.
Let me tell you, I was divorced from my first husband, married to my second. We're sitting in church watching videos on sex education for kids. The church said, we're going to show this to the kid. If you want your kid to see it, sign this paper and we'll let you see it first. I'm sitting there. My husband looks over and goes, are you crying? I was crying because I watched a boy in the movie say, you know, I like her. I'm going to say what I got to say to get what I got to get. And she's like, I think I'm going to let him have it because he loves me. You know, and he was just being a young man. Right? But we don't realize you being a young man, what do you think that did to us? And so now that we're older.
It's boys and men, though.
It's boys and men, but it's still.
Right.
Like that's why men will say, you ain't touching my daughter. You lock her up, but then you go out with that one. Well, that's somebody else's daughter.
Right.
So I think there's a bit of a double standard.
Of course.
Right? And so the daughter you locked up snuck out the window and became the girl that you didn't want her to be anyway. And at the end of the day, neither one of us were healed. But to me, that young man who was like, no, I do love you. And that's why I want you to do this for me. And she's like, okay. I think he meant it when he said it, but then when she gave it up.
There's trauma on both sides, for sure.
Yeah, once she gave it up, it was like, well, she ain't so interesting anymore. That chase is gone. So now I want to go chase that one. Sorry.
Boys.
And she's devastated.
Yeah.
Right. So, but what happens to her? Because all we say is boys.
Right.
She ends up being that person that gives you all that attitude.
She needs to have that covenant and that therapeutic session to grow and love to reheal herself and protect herself. Her daddy, a man needs to be there, so it has to be balanced. Like you say, it's unhealthy for a woman to say, I don't need a man because your children do.
Yeah.
You can't be alone. You might not need one as an adult. You made your decision, but like you said, it has to be impactful from both feminine and masculine with these kids.
It does. I just think we need to spend more time having a conversation. Why don't you need a man? What happened?
Right.
And then we can unpack that and then let her.
So with the high rate of lesbianism and bisexuality and the gay, I think that's comes from trauma.
Because part of my training was in sex therapy. I do believe that there are some people that were born with an affinity towards something.
Right.
I think there's a lot of stuff that's in your genetics. It's in the
Okay.
blood. However, I do think that there are a lot of people who are pursuing relationships where they feel validated. And if you consider just physical, remember I told you the physical side?
Right.
It doesn't matter who touches your erogenous zones.
Right.
You will get a orgasmic response. It can be a dog. That's why there are people who have bestiality. And so what happens is, especially with a lot of lesbian relationships, they never really started out lesbian like some people do.
Okay.
But they have a relationship where someone is willing to talk. A lot of times men use less words. Now she's with a female. Guess what she's going to get when there's problems? Talking.
More talking.
Right? And somebody's sensitive to know that's the color you like, that's the flower you like.
Right.
And then she can touch your erogenous zones and you can go to the adult store and find a penis.
Okay,
And
so-
next thing you know, some needs are met, but now they're not really addressing what the real issue was.
Right.
They're just trying to get to the top of the mountain without the climb.
Okay. I like that. And then you got those women who love the bad guy, and they meet a guy that's willing to have those conversations, to be emotional and cry, and all of a sudden he don't have the respect as the hard knot or the guy that's or the thug or whatever, but he gets drugged through the mud. You'll take him all up through the court and all that. But Tyrone at home with 4 baby mamas, he don't get touched, no problems or nothing.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Why is it? You tell me. I don't know.
Because to me, that's where we need to come together in groups and share perspective. Because what'll end up happening is we'll both gain perspectives from the other. Because all we really
I
see
ran
is
into that a
our
couple
own.
times, man. I ran into women like, oh, you wanna trap me and drag me through the mud, but boy, you don't wanna let him. He can do whatever he want. You had kids for him. He don't gotta worry about going to court. He ain't gotta worry about you disrespecting him. Just leave him alone. But somebody actually trying to do something, so you got hurt stuff on both sides too. So women do crazy things, men do crazy things too. So
Because that's why a lot of guys will go for the girl that's pretty
why is
and
that?
put up with all kinds of hell that comes with her, right? Because they want that on their arm. They want that in their Instagram. They want that, but they're not looking for that girl who maybe she is a little portly,
Okay.
maybe she got one eye that go that way and her hair is a little bit,
Listen, you
disheveled.
gotta have something.
But if you all never saw each other and you just chatted online or whatever, she speaks to your heart.
Yeah.
But that's not enough. You see what I'm saying?
Of course not.
But why isn't it? Why is physical?
Physical matters.
But why is it the priority?
It ain't a priority for everybody, but it
No,
does
but
matter.
it sure.
Not for everybody, but it matters definitely.
it
you,
does.
you have to be attracted to who you with, or else it ain't gonna work.
Well, females figured out that the attractiveness doesn't really come from the physical. Sometimes the prettiest green eyes and the
Women do it too. Some women got preferences. I like. I want a sweet like. Okay, look, I'm going there. I hope she don't see this. Serena Williams. She on a date light skinned men because she don't want dark skinned babies. That was from somebody could say.
I've never heard her say that, but again,
based off-
I would pursue that. Where'd that come from?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because nothing just happens without cause. And I think we just have not taken the time to try and understand. Because some people don't even have insight that that's what they do.
So do we love ourselves?
No.
Yeah. we love
I mean, some of
ourselves.
us do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I see
like,
it.
Hey, look, my husband always says, I like me.
Right.
But I really do it to go. But I enjoy
Okay,
it.
cool. Yeah,
We'll
good talk.
again.
Yeah, definitely we'll talk again.